Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Johnny TCG video. Today I've got a spicy starter deck 14 deck list for you. It is not your typical starter deck 14 deck list. I did not make it. I did find it online on OnePieceTopDecks.com. I've never seen a starter deck 14 with this build. Maybe I just haven't been looking. But on One Piece Top Decks, I did find an Animal Kingdom Pirates build that I really think is interesting. Now, the best part about the Animal Kingdom Pirates is, of course, Jack. He's a beast, and you'll see him in plenty of black decks in OP08. But for this deck, we're running a whole variety of Animal Kingdom Pirates cards that I'll get to in just a second. For those that don't know, Starter Deck 14 Black Luffy is a 5-life leader with 5,000 power. Don times 1, give all of your characters +1 cost, and then if you have a character of an 8 cost or higher, this leader gets 1,000 power. So what that means is that it's going to be hard for your opponents to KO your characters just based off cost. And you're going to be rewarded for having bigger bodies on the board by making your leader 6,000 power, which we know in this game is very, very strong. Before we go too deep into the deck list, we're going to start out with the foundation first. And that is, drumroll please, Thousand Sunny. Now, this card is so good in this deck. Not only does it give all of your Straw Hat Crew characters +1 cost, but it also lets you draw a card when you play it if your leader is Straw Hat typed, which of course we are in this case. And so it just replaces itself in hand, which is awesome. Sometimes it's a borderline, it's a pseudo searcher where if it's turn 2, I've got 3 done and nothing to play, and I've already have a stage out, and I got an extra one in my hand, I'll just throw this one on the field too, and I get to draw another card, see if I can find anything. I think it's really good. Now let's move into the Animal Kingdom Pirates package. Animal Kingdom Pirates Chads, rise up, it is our time. We're starting out with the 1 cost queen, of course. This is a searcher, pretty standard searcher, 1 cost, 2,000 power. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose 1 Animal Kingdom Pirates card, and add it to your hand. We've got Sasaki here, which is really a utility card, a good 2k counter that is searchable. I like it. If you can keep it on board, it will provide value. By resting itself and resting 1 Don, you can give one of your opponent's characters -2. This will be a big help in certain situations, and I like this at 4. Kaido, 9-drop, 9,000 power. I'm a little iffy on this card. It seems really good, I just haven't found a ton of use for it. One thing to note about it is that a lot of the combos in this deck, we are already minusing cost to our opponent's characters, and therefore 7 is just a little unnecessarily high. So, for example, when we're using Nico Robin's ability, we're minusing 5 from one of our opponent's characters. If it's at 10 already, we're all the way down to 5. Having it be a 7 cost is a little overkill. We could probably lower it even more so that it's in range of Jack, Brook, Nightmare Luffy, etc. So I'm not saying this card is bad, I just haven't found a ton of success with it. I'm going to keep testing and I'll get back to you. Next we have a one of Sheepshed. I don't know why this is kind of being run as a one of. It's not spicy enough to really change a game if you find it. It's a decent card. I wish it was a 2k counter. I didn't make this deck list, so when I do my take on it, I will probably change things up a little bit. I don't know if this needs to be in the deck, but his ability is cool. It's like a mini Isho. Give 1 Don to him, and all of your opponent's characters get -1 cost. As a one of, I did not find myself using this card very often. The man, the myth, the legend, Jack is an absolute force to be reckoned with in OP08. This deck is no exception. He's going to be great for you. A cost of 7 to play, getting him out as early as possible, I found to have been a great strategy. He's going to be a pain for your opponent to get off the board. And if you combine him with Nico Robin or other characters in this deck, you're going to see great success. Moving on, we have Scratchman Apu, 4 cost, 5,000 power blocker. Pretty standard blocker. The one nice thing is that his effect is activate main once per turn. You can give one of your opponents -1 cost. That is a nice little effect that will come in handy sometimes. Next, we have Who's Who, 5 cost, 5,000 power, 2k counter. On play, you may trash one card from your hand, KO one of your opponent's 3 cost or less characters, with the trigger of KOing one of your opponent's cost 3 or less characters. This card's decent. Most of the time, I'm not using it just because I don't need it. I need it more as a 2k counter. But I think it definitely has a good place in this deck, running it as a 4 of. Moving on to the Straw Hat cards in this deck, which is the other big part of this deck. First, we'll go with Sanji, 5 cost 6,000 power. On play, if you have a cost 6 or higher character, KO up to one of your opponent's characters that cost 5 or less. Now, if you have the stage on board, you can play this down on curve on 5 and KO whatever your opponent just played the turn before, which is absolutely great. If you're on the even curve, you can give one down to your leader and then play out this card, and you can KO whatever your opponent played the turn before. When you get it on curve and you have the stage out or a Don on leader, it feels really good. Sometimes you'll miss that opportunity and you have to use it later on in the game. Then it's a little hit or miss, but still a very solid card. Next, we have one of the best cards in this deck, Nico Robin from Starter Deck 14. 6 cost, 7,000 power, 1k counter. On play and when attacking, if you have a cost 8 or higher character on the board, give one of your opponent's characters -5 cost for this turn. If you have the stage on field and you have a Don on leader, this card is 8 cost and therefore the ability activates. If you don't, unfortunate, but this card works with so many cards in this deck. It works with Jack, it works with Who's Who, it works with Brook, it works with Nightmare Luffy. Just having this on board, if you can keep it alive, it's going to put in so much work. We've got 8 cost, 10,000 power Luffy. This card I really like in this deck more than I expected. It's amazing late game to really finish off the opponent. His ability is if you have a character with the cost of 10 or higher, this character gains rush. If you have a Don on leader and the stage out, that will give this character rush. If you have Jack on the field, which you hopefully will because we love to see Jack, then this will have rush as well. Just overall, a great card. People are not really expecting rush in a black deck, and so it can catch people off guard. This deck runs 3 Brooks from EB01. On play / when attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 cost, then KO a 0 cost. Just a solid card. 5-drop Sabo. What more is there to say about this card? So important in the meta right now with so many black decks out and about. Monkey D. Luffy from OP07. This card is kind of like a mini Jack. When attacking, you may trash up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less, and then you can also return cards from your trash to boost up the attack. This is another one of the cards that combo so well with Nico Robin. If you use Nico Robin's ability first, you are now trashing originally a 7 cost character. Granted, he is a 5 cost, so it's easier to remove than Jack or some of the other big bodies, but if you can get him on board, he's going to do wonders for you. 8 cost Sabo, secret rare from OP07. This is a great card. It works really well against decks that are trying to go wide. Also, synergizing with Nico Robin, you can KO an 8 and a 5 or a 10 and a 3. In the early game, you're going to want to see cards like Stage and Queen to get some searches off and to establish the stage. Establishing the stage early is really going to set the tone for the game and really help you out so that cards like Sanji can be played on curve. I really think that if people try out this deck list, they're going to enjoy it. Before we get into the not 1, not 2, but 3 games I have for you on the sim today, I do have a custom Starter Deck 14 leader to give away. Boom. This is using artwork from the One Piece Treasure Cruise game. I do not own the artwork. This is just a fun little custom that I'm not selling. If you would like to win this custom leader, all you have to do is leave a like and a comment. If this video gets 20 likes in the first 24 hours, I will send it out to one US-based commenter. All you gotta do, leave a like, leave a comment, leave a like, leave a comment. Yeah, there we go. And if you're feeling so inclined, leave a subscribe too. I appreciate it so much. But only if you actually enjoy the content. If you don't and want to tell me to kick rocks, tell me to kick rocks in the comments below. I know you're tired of me yapping, so let's roll the gameplay. First up, we have a game against Charlotte Pudding, a leader you will likely see plenty of in OP08. I don't love our opening hand. We do not see stage, which is one of the cards we want to see first every time. So it might be a couple of turns before we can actually play something. Their first turn, they play a Charlotte Pudding and get the Charlotte Linlin from OP08. We don't love to see it, but it could be worse. We're just going to swing for 7 and then play the Sasaki out. The Sasaki is mostly used as a 2K, but it can become a little bit of a pest in the right situation. They use the "you're the one who should disappear" counter to get out of that 7,000 swing already, and so now we'll play out the Sasaki. It doesn't feel great playing it out because I don't have a ton of counter in hand, but alas, it is what it is. They're going to go 5,000 at me, and I will take it using leader ability to ramp. And now they play the Charlotte Brûlée from OP08. A very interesting card. On KO, they will be able to ramp it on. We've got 5 Don to work with. I'm going to start out with a leader swing for 5,000. I'd imagine they might want to take this, but I should never assume. With the 5 Don I have left, I'm thinking I'll play out the Sabo blocker. I don't think they run anything that could KO my characters, but I will be able to do some card cycling, which is nice. I'm going to trash the Rush Luffy and the Jack. My opponent is probably thinking that if I got rid of them, I must have other copies. For 6 Don, they're going to play Charlotte Katakuri, flipping the top card of their life down and ramping a Don. And then they're going to play the Charlotte Pudding to get a search off, and now they get another OP08 Linlin. Using the other searcher, they are going to get a Charlotte Brûlée as well. 5,000 with leader, and I will free block that with Sabo. Now I've got a couple different options here. I am going to use the Sasaki's effect to bring down the Charlotte Katakuri so that now I can play the Sanji. First, I'll swing with 6,000 with leader, putting some pressure on him. I think you can make the argument that I should even swing here with Sabo as well, just because aggressiveness does work well into Charlotte Pudding. I play down the Sanji to pop the Katakuri, and now I'm feeling pretty good. They do have 10 Don to work with, so we could see a 10 Mom, we could see the 9 cost Linlin. Either way, I don't think that'll be the end of the world for me. Next turn, I'll likely play the Jack. They do play the 9 cost Linlin. Are they going to put one of my cards into my life? They do put the Sabo at the bottom. That's not the end of the world for me. Now I'll be able to cycle a card from my life, basically, if they swing into my leader. 3,000 with putting into Sasaki. Gotta let him go. He served his purpose. And now 5,000 in the lead. We'll take this, and we do get the Who's Who, but we'd rather keep that in our hand as a counter or potentially playing out. We're going to start our turn by giving 1 Don to our leader, raising up the cost of our characters, and then also it'll give me 1,000 power boost when I play out this Jack. They're going to block with the Brûlée. I'm going to play out the Jack, and now I'll be able to... I was going to swing for 8,000, but I decide to go with the Queen Searcher instead. Now, here I can go with the Jack or the Kaido. I decided to go with the Jack just because it's all reliable, and if I can get 2 of them on the board, it'll be easy to get rid of their characters. I think in retrospect, taking the Kaido probably would be better. They're going to take our 7,000 power swing, and now it's their turn. I like where we're at right now. They do have the 9 cost Charlotte Linlin on board. They're going to go 12k into my Sanji, which is dramatic if I say so myself. 7 Don left to work with. We might see a 7 Mom, or they play out the Charlotte Pudding. Maybe they don't have any great options in their hand. Off the Charlotte Pudding, they are able to get the Charlotte Linlin 10 drop. We know that might be coming next turn. Now they're with 6 Don. Leader swing still available. We might see a Charlotte Katakuri here. They're going to go 11 in the lead. We are going to take that. We get the Sabo. Sounds good to me. Trying to see if there's a way for me to remove this Linlin using Jack and Nico Robin, but I am going to be a couple short just with Robin, but I make a terrible miscalculation here. I am 1 cost short to be able to use Jack's ability to get rid of the Linlin. I should have played the Brook down as well, because then I would be able to have KO'd that 9-drop Linlin. This is a game-changing play. Feels bad. Definitely not ideal. But you live and you learn. Now we'll go 7,000 into lead. We shall continue our quest. For 3 Dons still left up, I'll play out the Brook, which I should have done immediately after playing the Robin. Can I get an F in the chat? They're debating on whether or not to counter out of the 7. And they do. We see 2 2Ks, which is pretty big. Happy to get those out of their hand. We know what's coming this turn, most likely. They're going to drop the 10 Mom, trash our top life, get another life. Going up 4 lives to our 2 lives. That is not ideal, but we continue on. They get the 8 cost Sabo. You hate to see it. He's a beast, but alas, it is what it is. They don't end up swinging with any of their characters. I find that very interesting. I wonder what their thought process is there. Maybe they don't want me to swing back into the Linlin, and yeah, maybe that's the case. We're going to go 7 with Nico Robin and minus the 10 drop Big Mom by 5. Now that she is 5 cost, she is pretty close to being able to get hit with the Jack effect. I might drop another Nico Robin down, and then I'll be able to bring it down to 0. And if that's the case, I can even use Brook to KO it. So here, I should have used Brook to KO the Linlin, I think, and then swung with Jack. Now, I do still have 4 Don to work with. I might play out the Scratchman, a Pooh blocker. I'm thinking about swinging with the Brook just to KO the Pudding, and that's what I'll do, just to limit the amount of swings they'll have on me next turn. Now we'll go 5,000 with Leader. I'm not able to put a Don on my Leader and get that 1,000 power boost. Can't afford it. Now we'll go with the Scratchman, a Pooh, just a blocker that I may need. Sabo would have been good in that situation as well, just not enough room for it. I definitely think I should consider running some Ice Ages in this deck. We'll see after further testing if I add it. They're going to go big this turn and start out with 5 Don on Pudding, 7 Don on Pudding, going 12,000 into Jack. Now, I think it should have been 3 Don Linlin first before they swung 12 with Leader. I think that's a little bit of a misplay because I would still be wondering what else they're going to play this turn if they had 7 Don still up. I will be able to counter out of this. It's just a matter of, do I want to block instead? I decide I am going to block just in case they had anything to get rid of that blocker. And we'll counter out of their big swing from their 9-drop Linlin. We're going to start out with a 7,000 power swing from one of our Nico Robins. We are going to go back to back, bringing that Linlin down to 0 cost. You know what that means. We'll get Brook on him. I think I'm going to go Sabo and Scratchman a Pooh here, and so I'm not going to give any Don to my Brook, just swinging it so I can get rid of the Linlin. Now we'll swing 7,000 with Leader. They are going to, you're the one who should disappear out of it. Now we're going to swing with Jack. This will hit, bringing them to 2 cards in hand, 1 card in life. I am feeling pretty good about our prospects here. I'm also realizing here I could play the 8-drop Monkey D. Luffy and just go straight at life, but there's not really a benefit to it. They're not going to be able to clear my board this next turn, so I think I have lethal no matter what they do. We might see a concede here, just because they're not going to be able to do much. The 10-drop Linlin is probably their best play, and hope they get some good triggers. Now we're down to 1 life. They have 2. It's just going to be a matter of swinging with all my characters, and then I might play the Rush Luffy if I need to. We'll start off with a 7,000 swing from Nico Robin. They will take that. Now it's time for another 7,000 swing with my other Nico Robin. They are going to counter out of that. Now it is simply a numbers game. We'll swing 5,000 with Scratchman a Pooh, and then 6,000 with Sabo. They do have the 2K for the Sabo, and so now we'll just swing with the Jack. GG's. Next up, we have a game against Purple Kaido from Starter Deck 4. This deck gets a lot better with the introduction of Black Maria. Turn 1, we're going to play out the Queen Searcher and get a Jack. We love to see it early. We do not have stage on turn 1 though, so that is not ideal. They're going to get the 10-drop Kaido off the Event Searcher. Not a big deal. I am not worried about it. Hopefully we'll be able to play out our Sabo at a point to protect our characters on the turn they would play the 10-drop Kaido. I'm going to go 5 and 5 here. They give me the Mr. Tubon Clay as counter, and then they let the swing from leader go through. 6k into me, I'll take that. They play down Onigashima Island and Rampadon rested. Sounds about right for Kaido. There's not much we can do here. I am going to play out the stage and draw a card. We do see the Sasaki that might come in handy. It is my only 2k counter in hand though, and I'm not sure if I want to play it out. We'll go again 5,000 with our Queen. They will take that hit. Now we're going to go 5,000 with Leader. They'll 2k out of that, and we'll play down the Sasaki. They could hypothetically go King here and pop the Sasaki, so might get absolute no value out of it. It is what it is. They're going to swing 5,000 into that Queen. That Queen has been a pain in their side. They are happy to get rid of it. They're going to play the Rush King from OP08, and we are just going to take that hit. Using Sasaki's ability, I'm going to be able to pop this King using Sanji. I'm going to give a Don to my leader and swing for 6 first. And then we'll be able to play out the Sanji. Next turn, I'll likely play the 5-drop Sabo to protect whatever board I have set out. 5,000 into the Sasaki, I'll give it to him. Not going to counter out of that. They have another Rush King. They're going to swing big into my leader, and I will just take that. 9 Don to work with. I wouldn't mind playing out this Kaido and being a little bit of a menace, putting that King into their trash. We're going to start with 1 Don on leader, swing 6 with Sanji into lead. They do have the 2k for that. I'm debating what to play here. I think we should play the 8-drop Monkey D. Luffy and be a little bit cheeky. We're going to go with 6,000 with leader, which they will take. And this is a misplay. I should have played the 10-drop, the 8-drop Luffy first. But I think I was also just getting a feel for what they were going to do, and I didn't want to show them my cards right away. I wanted to make them wonder what I still planned on playing. They bait me into giving them an extra 1k counter here. I feel so silly. 8,000 into me. I think I should just take this. We'll see the 10-drop here. We did get the hit on life that we wanted with the 8-drop Luffy, so that is nice. I do think maybe I should have played that. I could have played that turn differently, but it is what it is. Let me know in the comments if you think there was a more optimal turn I could have done. Now we've got 10 Don to work with. Do we have a way to get this Kaido down and remove it? Because next turn could be a little bit awkward. We're going to start with 2 Don on leader and swing for 7. We might go rush Luffy again and just be crazy. They will be able to counter out of that. I'm thinking Brook here into Sabo just to make sure I have a board for next turn to swing with. It'll likely just be a matter of the amount of swings I can get next turn. I've got a ton of counter in hand. Drawing into 2Ks is absolutely great. We won't be able to lose here, which is very nice. They do have enough Don to leader ability, but we can block any hit with Sabo, unless they have some spicy tech. Maybe they do run a sheep's horn or something else. 5,000 at me. I will give them the 1k counter. I'm not going to free block because I might need that. They're going to play down Black Maria and Mr. Tubon Clay. Use leader ability to trash my final life. They'll then use Black Maria's ability to draw 5 rested Don. They'll attack my leader for 12,000 with 10-drop Kaido. I am going to block and then counter on top of that with my Sabo. This is just going to ensure that I win the game next turn with swings. It is just going to be a matter of what kind of counter they have. I'm going to play it pretty simple. Go 5 with Brook. They may have a Blast Breath, or maybe they are just faking it. They counter out of the Brook swing. They will take the 6,000 Sabo swing, and then I'll just go 10,000 with Rush Luffy. I could have just threw the Dawn on my leader, but this was easy. Hypothetically, if they had a Blast Breath, they might be able to get out of this, but they wouldn't have anything for my leader, and it hits. GG's. I go for the rematch, but no rematch was played. We are going to go first against a green Uta from Starter Deck 11, a very cool leader. I'm not sure if they're playing the new Starter Deck package, so we'll have to see. We're going to go with the Queen Search turn 1, and we are going to take a Jack. We already did have a Jack in our hand, so maybe we should have went with Kaido, but Jack is just such a good card. I feel bad passing on it. Turn 1 for them, they played nothing, so we are going to go 5 and 5 with Queen and Leader. They are going to take the 5,000 swing from Queen, and then take the 5,000 swing from Leader as well. That is a little bit surprising. They have a ton of cards in hand though. Late in the game, it will be hard to get attacks through. Using a new Genesis, they are able to draw the Sanji from EB01, a nice 2K to have in hand. The Nightmare Monkey D. Luffy might be a good card to play out in this matchup. I'm thinking I'll play it out next turn. 5 Dawn to work with. I could also play the Who's Who to pop that Uta. I'm considering it. I think I can't go wrong either way. The Uta I'll just be able to get rid of the turn after. We would like to see Stage soon, so hopefully we can top deck it or maybe even get it from our life. 6,000 with Leader. We are going to 2K out of this. I don't know if that counter was absolutely necessary, so in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have countered out of it. They're going to go Brook into Nami, and off the Nami, they will draw a Brook. Now they've got a couple of cards on field that I would like to get rid of. I've got 7 Dawn to work with. I could play the Scratchman Apu and set up my Nightmare Luffy to start trashing some of their characters. Or I could just play the Jack and keep it simple. I'm leaning towards Jack. When in doubt, in OP08, if you're playing a black deck, just go Jack. We'll start off our turn with a 5,000 swing from Leader. We are not going to have an extra Dawn to add to him to get his Leader ability, so there's no point in waiting to play Jack first. They are going to counter out of that. Now we'll swing 6,000 with Nightmare Luffy. Unfortunately, we cannot trash any of their cards. They are going to block with the Uta, which is very nice. Now we'll play Jack, use his ability. I think we should trash the Queen Searcher, and then we pop the Nami. Very satisfied with how that turn worked out for us. And they're going to be on 8 Dawn. They could play a Kid. They could play a Monkey D. Luffy 7-drop blocker. We shall see. They'll start their turn with a 5,000 swing from Brook. We are going to take this and get another Scratchman Apu blocker. They're going to give 1 Dawn to their leader. Swing 6. Draw the Film Nami. And for 7 Dawn, we'll likely see the Monkey D. Luffy. And they are running the Starter Deck 16 package, so they do have the 4-drop Uta blocker. I'm not super familiar with these new starter decks yet, but some of the cards from it seem pretty good. I'm thinking here, just to keep it simple, play out the Nico Robin, lower the cost of either their Uta or Monkey D. Luffy, and then I can trash them off of either my Nightmare Luffy or off my Jack. I'm going to start by swinging 7 into the Brook, see if they'll give that to me. They do, which is great. That's exactly what I was hoping for. I could play it really safe and go double Scratchman Apu, I don't think I need to do that, but if I want to be crazy, I can. We're going to go with the Nico Robin, lower the cost of the Monkey D. Luffy, rest Jack, cycle a card, and trash the Monkey D. Luffy. Now we're just going to swing really big with Nightmare Luffy. We can't trash any of their cards. I do have the option of adding those 3 cards back to my deck to give my character another 1,000 in power, but I'm thinking that I save that for later. They're going to block and counter with the Uta. Fair enough. I really like where our board's at, but against Uta, you can never be too careful. They're going to swing 6,000 at me. I'm just going to take this. We finally get the stage, and then they play out the starter deck 16 Shanks to KO my Jack, which is not ideal. I am going to play out the stage, and I might combo the Nico Robin with the 5-drop Sanji in my hand. I will be able to get the Shanks off board if I decide to do that. We'll start by swinging 7 with Robin, minusing 5 from Shanks. We could also play out the Sasaki and lower the cost of Shanks or Uta even further. They're going to block with Uta and then give it a 2k to save it. We decide just to play out the Sasaki to cost reduce the Shanks even further, and then we're going to swing big with the Monkey D. Luffy into the Uta. We're going to use his ability to put some cards back into our trash, so now we're swinging 8,000 into the 6,000 power Uta. If they want to keep it alive, they're going to have to give me a lot. Now I'm going to play out the Sabo blocker, prevent my characters from being KO'd, and I really like where we're at. We have set up an absolute beast of a board. I'll trash one Sanji, and I think we're in a position where we can get rid of the other one. Between the Nico Robin and the Sasaki, we are able to lower opponents' characters, most of them to the point where Nightmare Luffy can take care of it, or Jack if we play that next turn. They've got 10 down to work with. We might see a big body from them. If they do play the Shanks from starter deck 16, it won't be able to KO anything, which is very nice. This is a well-timed Sabo blocker. 8,000 into Monkey D. Luffy. I do think I should probably counter out of this. I decide just to block out of it. I'll need to make room for characters next turn anyway, so I'm not feeling bad about losing the Sabo. They've got another starter deck 16 Uta to play out, and then a starter deck 11 Uta as well. I will be easily able to get rid of those. We top deck the 8-drop Sabo from OP07, which is the perfect time for that. We'll be able to get rid of both blockers. We're going to swing 7,000 first, just to see if they'll block or if we can get some attacks through. They're going to block and counter, which is amazing for us. We're getting cards out of their hand. It is slowly being whittled down. We'll use Luffy's ability to KO their 4-drop Uta blocker and then put cards to the bottom of our deck, so now we're swinging for 7,000. They block with the 3-drop Uta, which is great. We will use the rest of the turn to play a little defensively, play out the Scratchman and Pooh blocker, and then the Sabo as well. 7,000 now to lead. They do have another 0-cost event to counter out of that. If they want to play another 9-drop Shanks, it is not going to get much value, so that's why we keep blockering up and playing it a little safe. They're going to go 12,000 into life. This will likely be an I'm Invincible play. They're just trying to make a push. I will block out of that with Scratchman and Pooh, and they do in fact use I'm Invincible. Now I am considered taking this one just to see what we can get, and we get another Jack. That's not going to do us much good. They concede here. I wasn't going to make a crazy push for game here. I was likely going to play out another Scratchman and Pooh, and then swing with the rest of my characters. The attacks probably would have went through, and I would have got game anyway, but the W was ours regardless. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the games I got for you today. What did you think about them? I would love to hear your opinion down in the comments below. We definitely had a couple of misplays, so we got to clean that up. If you enjoyed this video, I would definitely appreciate if you hit like, subscribed, and I don't know, left a comment and said, "Hey Johnny TCG, nice video, cool haircut. I like the kitchen. It's the off-meta kitchen. We're always cooking up in the off-meta kitchen." If you want the deck list, I put it down in the description. If you want to win the custom leader, like and comment. That's all I got today. What are you still doing here? You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Peace.